To the CHGO Bears Postgame Show. Early edition, shall we call it? This game has been delayed. We're rolling now because I don't know if this game is going to resume, and even if it does, it'll be the fourth quarter of a preseason game that nobody's playing in. Welcome in Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Greg Rags Jr. We got a lot for you, and preseason coverage on the CHGO Bears podcast is presented by Ray Chevrolet. Shop the Freedom to Save sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. Welcome in. Glad you're here. Please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. We're here all season long after every game, even if the game ends up being shortened, which we'll see if this one actually ends up being officially shortened or not.
Well, they should, because the field conditions before it rained already sucked, and now it's raining. Looks like it's raining pretty hard, so I would venture to say they should just call this thing.
I mean, I don't think we really need to see any more. Brett Rypien is the next great quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and Collin Johnson is better than DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Keenan Allen combined. Great night for those two.
Get them their gold jackets now.
Gold jackets now. Rough night for Dante Pettis, dropping a punt. Ton to cover here. I was entertained. It was an enjoyable night of football. Great to see the Bears back out there. I was a little concerned about the pass rush. I won't give all my takes right now.
I was going to say, you're supposed to team me up on the best and worst. Instead, you just ran through your entire notebook.
He's like, okay.
We can end the show now. Yeah, hope everybody had a great night. We will see you tomorrow.
Let's do it, Hoge, because I didn't even touch on my best and or worst in all those brilliant takes that I just gave you. But you are up first, buddy. Give me your best. Give me your worst. What do you got?
My best is Brett Rypien, man. Regardless of what it means going forward, the dude was throwing actual dots all over the field tonight, and even the ones that Collin Johnson didn't catch, and he did make some nice catches, but there were a couple that he should have also caught. They were great throws.
Yep.
I mean, give the guy credit, and Brett Rypien's been a backup quarterback in this league. You know, he was pretty successful with the Rams. So this is a guy that knows the system. That's why he's here. Looked very comfortable tonight and made some great throws. So that's my best. My worst, Braggs already hit on it. I don't know what's going on with that field there. It's turf. It's not even real grass, but guys are slipping all night. I don't care about anybody who didn't play in this game. Whatever the reasons were, keep the important players off that field. And that's fine. We'll move on to the next preseason game, because once I saw, and it really started like on the opening kickoff, quite frankly, guys are slipping, not safe. Enough of that.
Yeah, that was concerning. Gregory, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, go a few different ways, but I guess the obvious secondary candidate behind Brett Rypien it's got to be Collin Johnson, right? I mean, he was making all sorts of catches, touchdowns in the end zone, going up, high pointing the ball. He's got size, length. You know, he played a little bit to end last year, so then now he becomes the bubble guy. You know, you already have so many receivers on this roster. You have to be able to make an impact on special teams in order to be one of those 5th, 6th, 7 receivers is kind of pushing it. But he's been flashing a lot at training camp. Now you take that to a preseason game, 3 more to go. If he continues to do that every year, Bears fans always find a way to fall in love with a wide receiver that may or may not make the roster. Typically they don't. They get cut, and then I riot, and then we all are convinced he's going to get picked up by another team. He doesn't, and then he's re-signed to the practice squad.
But you guys are missing Collin Johnson's best play of the night. The tackle he made on the opening kickoff.
Yeah, that was great.
He can make special teams tackles too, and that matters. That legitimately matters.
Yep, so we're doing just best, or are we doing worst as well?
No, give us your worst, Greg.
I jumped on it. I apologize.
Okay, no, it's okay.
Give me your worst.
It's okay. Sometimes I don't like being negative, but today I'm going to point the thumb at me I've been pointing the finger at all of you who have been wrong in the past, but today I'm pointing the thumb at me because I said to play the starters. And then as soon as I saw that field doing what it was doing to the players, I immediately realized just how stupid I really am. I would not want my starters to play on that field with those conditions. So I was wrong. Everyone else that pointed that out was right. The other thing that I said was as Tyson Bagent came out, I was like, I have no interest in seeing Brett Rypien. Bring in Austin Reed. And then Brett Rypien proceeds to go like 11 of 16 for 3 touchdowns and look great. So the more I open my mouth, the more I realize just how dumb I am. And we are only 3 quarters into this NFL season. So if I keep this up on this trajectory by the end of the year, Mark Carman, I might finally realize that I am the dumbest human being on the face of the earth. I am the worst of my best and worst.
That's even a little too harsh for me with you. So, you're giving great effort, and you've said some brilliant things recently. So, I mean, you might be onto something of what you just said, and it's opposite of the graphics that we're just making here.
Look at classy.
Yeah, that's the.
And Steven, if you could just go ahead and clip the last 45 seconds or whatever, so I can just go back on Twitter and post that as a response to every victory lap tweet this guy had for 48 straight hours. I will actually go in there and individually respond to every single one of his tweets with that 45 seconds.
I didn't see that coming. I actually had a graphic that said not so humble brags. And I just had to go in there and I had to take out the not so because that completely caught me off guard.
You'd think I'd learned my lesson, but the karma just hit so sweet there.
Mark.
Off the record here, the Cubs just scored 3 in the ninth to beat the Cardinals 5-4. Cody Domendo, his life is saved, and I feel good about that for Cody and for Luke and our CHGO Cubs crew. All right, my best tonight, I will point the thumb at me and underline my brilliance. I told you in the pregame show that Khalil Herbert was going to go big. He only got the ball 4 times tonight, but I said he was going to keep running and running and running, and he did 8.8 yards per carry. What was the more interesting battle tonight as Roschon and Khalil actually went back and forth, splitting reps, who is going to be the second running back, and Herbert, who, again, I'll remind people, led the NFL in yards per carry at 5.7, was awesome again tonight. Hoge, nitpicked him a little bit where he could have picked up his feet and got a couple more yards. But I thought that he hit the hole hard. I thought he hit it quickly, and I thought he looked great. So I'll make Khalil my best. Shout out, by the way, Brett Rypien. Brett Rypien played great. I think he's going to be awesome as a third quarterback and a great guy in the room. Tyson.
Real quick. 8.8 yards per carry for Khalil Herbert. Only 4 yards per carry for Roschon Johnson. Not a large sample size. Herbert had 4 carries. Roschon had 6.
No, but there was one key play for Roschon, if we're going to nitpick guys in a preseason game. Short yardage. He got the ball, and he kind of stuttered his way into the hole. Didn't pick up the first down. Went to fourth down. Bears, that's my worst. False start on fourth down. I know it's the backups, but we've seen it literally every single day in training camp. 1 false start, 10 false starts. This team is a lot better talent-wise, but they're not that great talent-wise that they're going to be able to overcome being a high-functioning, great operation team. And again, backups, not a huge deal, but it did happen tonight on a 4th and 1, on the one drive that Bagent was in there. Then they chose to punt, which was right decision, first quarter, even a preseason game. That I did not want to see that tonight. I was hoping we wouldn't see that tonight. We did see that tonight, so that was disappointing. I'll throw in one other worst Hoge. Look, again, preseason, right? Get to the quarterback. I would like to have seen whoever was a quarterback, Davis Mills on down for the Texans, be under a little bit more pressure. Did not see enough pressure tonight at all.
Yeah, I think all of that is fair. And good start here.
Austin Booker did get a sack right before the game got rain delayed, or maybe suspended for good. So at least Austin Booker got his first sack. He did right at the end.
And I was watching Austin Booker very closely earlier
they didn't credit him.
What's that?
They didn't credit him. I must have missed it.
Here, look, Mark. I'll show you. There it is.
Oh, regardless, he had some really nice rushes. If you were keen in on him, and I thought that there was one where he kind of got washed out of the play, but for the most part, I thought Austin Booker looked like he belonged. Again, none of the starters are in this game. I want to see Austin Booker go up against Laramie Tunsil at some point in life.
Well, he had an early pressure first quarter that was impressive.
Yep.
He did for his first game in the NFL. Austin Booker.
He kind of puts his head down and then uses his arms and his length, to get that set, and then kind of bull rush his way up. I mean, you're going to have to learn as Corey Wooten always talks about on Bears After Dark. You got to have your counter, and things, but he'll get there. But you see the potential.
Yeah, and Jaquan Brisker is now tweeting from the locker room, rain, go away, please.
Well, actually, he should be rooting for it to rain harder so that they can just go back to Palace Hall.
He wants to see his guys get a chance to play, perhaps. That's a good teammate right there.
Well, hopefully our guy, Kevin Kostelecki's wearing a shirt right now and he's not outside. $50 super chat.
Let's go.
Our favorite, our balcony mate right over there.
We had a nice chat with Kevin in a halftime from across the alley.
My guy at the store, always supporting us right now on Instagram, on his balcony. Phenomenal supporter for the show.
Naked as the day he was born.
We appreciate you, Kevin. You know this.
Well, he does have pants on.
It's true.
Just want to be clear.
Couple, yeah, but
he's not Clark the Cub. There we go.
It's more fun to just call him naked guy, in my opinion. Dante Pettis had a drop punt in this game, which was towards late before things got suspended here. That seemed like a big moment as we try to figure out the punt return. But speaking of that, I mean, we're all sitting there a little befuddled early on in this game. Torrey Taylor's really not going to play. Velus Jones is not back. We've had all this talk about the kick return thing for all this time, and I have some numbers coming up about the kick return and what we saw tonight compared to what they expected. I don't think this was a great start tonight for the new kickoff.
I noticed nothing different.
Yeah, I'm gonna break it down for you in a little bit here. But the only thing I can think of for why you wouldn't have Velus Jones out there tonight, or why you wouldn't have Torrey Taylor, who's a rookie, out there tonight. You want these guys to get experience, and really, especially in Torrey Taylor's case, like, I don't know, is he going to get hurt punting the ball? Like, there's not really much of a... I think it has to do with the fact they played the Texans in week 2.
Yes.
That's the only thing I can think of, because the one thing everyone says about catching Torrey Taylor's punts, whether it was in college or already in camp, they say it's tougher than other punters. So don't let the Texans... Sure, they can watch the film of the rest of the preseason, but they're not going to be able to stand under the ball and see it come down.
And feel it.
So yep. I think that has to be the reason. I can't think of any other reason. And then in Velus Jones' case, it's a lot easier to tackle Tyler Scott than it is to tackle Velus Jones when he's coming at you like a freight train. So I'm thinking that's got to be the same reason that he didn't play. Otherwise, those are dudes you want to get out there.
I wanted to see Velus return kicks. I think the whole concept that, wow, we can't have Torrey punt tonight because they're going to learn how to catch the Taylor punts in completely different conditions tonight, to going inside, playing in a dome. It seems a little crazy to me. Let him get his feet wet, but whatever. He's Torrey Taylor punt guy. He'll be fine. No big deal.
And that makes sense. Like, the Torrey Taylor, that I can buy that. The one thing I will say, though, is then on that first drive on 4th and 1, where the Bears get a false start. Not good. We've been seeing that here for 2 weeks at camp. But now it's 4th and 6. Other than, okay, you're not punting with Torrey Taylor. You're giving the backup punter a look for the rest of the league as a favor. All due respect, I don't really care about that. I'm worried about the Bears. So the only advantage you had there is you're practicing covering a punt at the goal line. I would have rather seen them then just go for it on 4th and 6 and give Tyson Bagent that rep to see if he can finish that drive with a score.
1,000% with you on that. Who cares? Let him throw the ball.
Right, because people were saying, well, they gave the backup punter Eberflus is doing the backup punter a favor to give him a look so he can get on with another team. Hey, very nice of him, but I'm worried about the Bears right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And that is a thing, because every day we see the backup punter and the backup long snapper out there together. They're like not even with Cairo Santos and Torrey Taylor and Patrick Scales. And it's like, well, those two guys are going to be on a
And so you're saying with Velus, they're also not having him play tonight because they don't want to show the Texans how they're returning with their main returner?
I think, see, that part I don't buy, like the scheme of it, because I think that's going to be somewhat vanilla to begin with. And you're still going to be able to turn on the tape of the next 3 preseason games.
Right.
I think it's similar to watching the spin of the ball from Torrey Taylor coming down. There's a difference between trying to tackle Velus Jones and tackle Tyler Scott, who ended up taking those returns.
But then my argument was going to be, and I set you up for it, is who's more important to this team, Tyler Scott or Velus Jones?
Collin Johnson. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, speaking of jobs and jobs being on the line, we're driven by the search for better. When it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And the listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
It's grilling season. Get your pork. We had some delicious ribs before the show today. People who are active need more protein than the average American. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, Dietitians of Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes like Greg Braggs, depending on your training. 1 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. Our friend Grillin' with Dad was in here recently. It was flat out delicious, and he's reminding us to elevate your protein game with lean pork. It's a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by the Illinois pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon to breakfast to pulled pork, juicy chops hot off the grill. It's an entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by the Illinois pork producers' generations of commitment.
All right, officially called. This game is over. I don't even remember what the score was. Who's winning?
Well, first of all, there was a ton of football left to play. 3:31.
Bears win 21-17.
21-0 coming up before the playoffs.
Okay.
Take that.
So there was 3:31 to go in the third quarter when the game got postponed. And it was and at this time of that, it was Bears 21, Texans 17. Now you can do your dance, Greg. Right, Bears undefeated season.
Did. You want me to do it again?
Well, if you want to. I just wanted to give the full details. With 3:31 to go in the third quarter, I'll do the math for you. That's 18 minutes and 31 seconds of football that wasn't played. 18:31 into 60 minutes of football. That's almost 1/3 of a football game that did not get played tonight.
Right.
There's a lot of football there, Hoge.
Who cares?
You got cheated, buddy.
Look, the only thing that mattered tonight was that football was played. We get to enjoy it, and we're here now for the people to talk about it, what we did see. There were still some things that we did see. And now no one else got hurt, and we got, 10 days until the next game against the Bills? 9 days, whatever it is?
Sure.
This is where you guys respond.
Oh, I thought it was a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have that graphic yet, or okay? So here's what went down with the kickoff tonight. Okay, the new dynamic kickoff rule. Gentlemen, please pay attention.
Yes, sir.
I'm with you, buddy.
Talking.
Locked in.
I got you.
8 kickoffs were kicked. 7 of them were returned, so there were more returns, which we expected. The return rate last year, I think, was about 21%. So we got 7 out of the 8 returned. There was the one touchback that the Bears had. They kicked it in the end zone. You catch it on the fly. You can just kneel it and get the ball at the 30. The point of that is to encourage the kickoff team to keep the ball in play and not kick it into the end zone. 2 illegal formation penalties, both of them. One was on each team for leaving early. So that's an adjustment that we'll probably continue to see during the preseason. And then this is what I found interesting is that I did the math on where these drives started after the kick returns. The average starting field position was only the 26.125 yard line. Here's why I find that notable, because the average starting field position last year,
26.7 yard line,
25.2. So we saw less than a yard bump tonight. And their expectation, when I was at the owners' meetings talking to the special teams coordinators and Rich McKay, head of the competition committee, they are expecting this to jump closer to the 30-yard line this year. So we did not see that tonight. There's a few reasons for that we'll get to in a second. But regardless of where the average starting field position is, they want to see more variance. So they want to see more drives start in opponent territory and other drives that end up backed up, and rather than almost all of them start at the 25-yard line. And basically you saw them all start in the general same area tonight, between the 20 and the 32. That was your variance, the 20 and the 32. So tonight, in the debut of the dynamic kickoff rule, we really didn't see what the NFL is expecting. Now, couple things. Mostly backups were out there. We did not see, and I'm not just talking about the returners, which matters, right? Velus Jones Jr. didn't get a return. But also the guys blocking, too. A lot of those guys were not going to be the same guys blocking in week one. So I think that that's a factor in all this, too. I also didn't see really anything different on where the ball was being kicked. We didn't see balls going to the corners or anything like that. And that's where I think this cat and mouse game of let's try to figure out what this rule is without showing our scheme that we might draw up for this new rule is going to happen in the preseason. So it was sort of a boring debut for this new dynamic kickoff tonight, but I don't think the results of it are necessarily going to be the same reflection of what we'll probably see when the regular season begins.
We need 3 more games to see here in the preseason because, as Levi yelled in the chat, the field was ass. So like that's the other aspect of getting a good proper footing for blocking and returning, because you saw at one point Tyler Scott slip as he was getting tackled.
Well, look, you can't jump to conclusions, but I thought, Hoge, you just did a very good job of laying out all the variables there. Starter's not out there. Not going to show how you're going to try. Whatever brilliance is out there that people are going to use to try and scheme their way to getting themselves better field position / touchdowns on the kickoff. They're not going to reveal that. The Bears and or Texans aren't revealing that in the Hall of Fame game on a bad field. That would make no sense whatsoever. So it's a little early, but it was, for all the talk that was around it, I was expecting something to look different. And if you just hadn't heard a word and just were sort of half paying attention to the kickoff, you would not know that literally anything was different.
Well, and the one observation I made on the Saturday practice last week when they did practice the kickoffs for a session is they kicked some up the middle and then some outside to the corners, and it felt like there was more of an opportunity for a big return when they were kicked more to the sides. That's how it looked to me. So today everything was up the middle, and maybe that changes. Maybe there's some gamesmanship like you're saying, Hoge, but from what I saw in the one practice that we watched it, and still this very small sample size, that kicking up the middle and trying to get it as close to that 1 yard line as you possibly can, because you saw at one point during this game that a returner caught it, whereas if he had let it go, it would have hit the end zone, but it was right in that tweener spot that he couldn't depend on that, and had it hit the 1, now he's got to return it no matter where it goes, correct? As per the rule.
Repeat that to me one more time. I'm sorry.
So if there's a tweener kick and it hits the 1 yard line, wherever that rolls, you got to return it.
Yeah.
So there was that moment, and that's where I think most kickers are going. That's going to be the sweet spot of this kickoff. Is you're going to try to kick it off right down the middle and as close to that 1 yard line to make that kick returner have to make that decision on a tweener spot.
Because you saw what happens if you get it all the way to the end zone. Because if the ball bounces at the 1 and goes into the end zone and you down it, you only get the ball at the 20. However, if it's kicked all the way to the end zone in the air and you down it, it comes out to the 30. And the point of that is to get the kickoff team to not kick it all the way to the end zone, to put it in that landing zone that goes from the goal line to the 20. So there's really no penalty per se for kicking it into the end zone, but you're not getting the same. You're giving up more field position by doing so, and that was the one touchback we saw tonight when the Bears put the ball all the way into the end zone.
Fair enough. I think we have exhausted the kickoff thing. To be continued.
Well, there's a million layers to this stupid new rule.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
I put in my newsletter the other day, or actually, that was this morning. That seems like a long time ago. It's been a long day. The rules are very complicated. The point is very easy.
Right.
So as we work through all these rules, and there's going to be a lot of rules, I actually wrote down one. We're supposed to get an opportunity to talk to John Hussey, who the referee was tonight. He's going to be at House Hall this week. I was writing down. I was writing down some questions that I have for him because I honestly thought that on those illegal formation penalties, you could add it to the end of the kick. But that's not how it was enforced tonight. So there's some things to work out. And as I wrote in my newsletter this morning, my understanding is this thing might still get tweaked between now and week 1.
Well, that's the thing. Like in theory, if it doesn't have the impact, you can always move it back further. So they make the guys have to come run farther to get up if you really want to change this, and it's not working. But it's way too early for that.
Well, and the other layer to this whole kickoff rule was the point where they brought on for the first time in NFL history 12 men on the field, where Torrey Taylor held the kick. And then the rule is that the holder, who was Torrey Taylor, has to immediately get off the field. And so I was kind of challenging Hoge on this rule, trying to find my loopholes, a.k.a. cheat. And what I was suggesting is, you're kind of trusting the team to do right and play by the letter of the law and immediately run off the field. And I was suggesting, well, what happens if a guy pulls his hammy or he trips or he – whatever. And now all of a sudden he's still on the field as the player is returning. Like there's a bit of a trust factor here
this ain't the turkey bowl.
In terms of, there's gamesmanship.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, you can cheat and then say I didn't mean to.
No.
100%.
Okay, that's what goes on in the region on
somebody pulls their hammy, falls over, and now the returner's coming back. How does that get enforced?
Okay, that might happen like one time in the next 38 years.
Wait till it happens to keep somebody out of the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, I'll remember this moment.
Consider all these scenarios because at some point it might happen in the most pivotal of moments.
Well, but theoretically to what you're talking about, if a guy is running down the sideline returning a kick that's going to win the game at the end of the game, somebody could come off the bench and just tackle him.
Correct.
No, they can't. There's a rule against it, and I'm pretty sure the rules say that the referees can still award a touchdown. I am going to ask that question this week, specifically for this situation with the 12th man on the field, but my guess is the answer is the same thing, that they can still reward a touchdown in some crazy scenario that you're saying the guy fakes an injury and then suddenly makes a tackle.
Okay.
I mean, what if the return team...
What if Carr boots you off the stage?
Hold on. One more thing. What if the return team is turning around and seeing a guy and he's just going to hit him? He doesn't, you know what I mean? Things are happening so fast and they accidentally hit the guy trying to come off the field and not realizing that he's one of the guys. Is that not right?
They're 10 yards, 15, 20 yards down the field. That's not going to happen. You're in a weird rabbit hole right now about the one guy who's running off the field.
Mobius Ampere in the chat. Braggs, remember your take from earlier. That's right.
Thank you.
I am the dumbest human being.
Well, this one does fall under that category.
Exist.
Can we listen? Everybody in this chat, and we don't have to be dictated by this, but literally everybody wants to come and say that Brett Rypien has unlocked the backup quarterback thing, and this Bajan slander will not be tolerated by me on the show. I know to my right and to my left, it probably will be, but I don't understand. I'm confused as to why people want to celebrate and go at Tyson when it's the first time in forever that we've had quarterback depth, but we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm upset. I'm annoyed. I'm irritated. Go ahead, Hoge. Watch yourself.
I don't even know where to go with you.
I go wherever you want. I'm right here.
All right.
I'll take a deep breath. And
why don't you do that?
I'll take a deep breath.
I want to have that conversation about the quarterbacks. Actually, I don't want to have the conversation about the quarterbacks, but I guess we need to
have that conversation. Go ahead. I'm with you. Go ahead. I got you.
But I'm going to give you a little tease. This is more about Brett Rypien looking good than it's about Tyson Bagent looking bad. Okay?
Yeah, he threw the ball 3 times today.
there's a thing called practice that matters too. In the
Okay.
meantime, it is getting easier for businesses to switch to electric vehicles. That's something we can all get behind for the health of the planet and for the well-being of all of us who share it.
It's exactly right, Adam Hoge. The electric grid is evolving to meet your cleaner energy needs as we all move with confidence towards an electric tomorrow. Whether you have one delivery van or a whole fleet of shipping trucks, ComEd can help guide you to make the changes that make sense.
So what should business owners do?
They should go to ComEd.com/clean and learn more about the resources, fleet rebates, and infrastructure incentives available to help businesses go electric. If you own a business, don't wait. Start making your plan today to switch to electric vehicles. Good for business, good for the planet, good for all of us. Go to ComEd.com/clean.
Did you say ComEd.com/clean?
You bet your Tyson Bajan I did. Go now and see how going electric connects us to a better way of doing business and a better future for generations to come.
That's right. I want to make sure you guys are all getting ready to be at Friday 120 Club tomorrow, and you better be rocking your Shady Rays when you get there. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style, Carm. They probably have a style in your favorite team's colors, so they probably have Northwestern Wildcat style glasses. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Hell yeah. Love Shady Rays.
Well, I love Shady Rays too. And if there's one thing this city loves, it's the quarterbacks farther down the depth chart that look good. Put it that way.
Typically, it's the backup quarterback, but now it's the backup to the backup.
Right, which is a good problem for the Bears to be.
We're here. We finally made it.
We made it to where the quarterback controversy is more about the backup quarterback than the starter. It's a big moment here. But also, Carm.
It actually is. That's a major accomplishment.
That's actually very, very important. And so tonight, the third string guy looked really good, while the number 2 guy barely played. Couple reasons to calm you down, Carm. Because what ends up happening here is it becomes almost like a popularity contest, okay? So Brett Rypien was awesome tonight. Let's give him the credit.
He was.
He was great.
I'm literally thinking about writing him a song, and I am the Bajan guy. Rip it good. He ripped it good, man. He ripped it really good.
Pretty decent, better than some of your others. So right now, the Bears fans are loving him because he had a great game. Good for him. It's awesome. What probably matters more than that, if you really read between the lines of how this stuff works in the preseason, you should actually be excited, Carm, that Tyson Bajan barely played. Because
they know how good he is, and they didn't even need to see it.
He got 1 series, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If they were that worried about him, they would have had him actually play more. They would have had a competition go on tonight. Instead, they barely let the backup play to keep him healthy. And this isn't some guy that's well established in the league. If anything, Brett Rypien's more established. He definitely is more established in the league. He's played a decent amount. And so there's no reason to panic for you and your Tyson Bajan fan club right now by any means. Also, another small thing, if we are going to talk about this being a popularity contest, one of the more interesting things that happened in tonight's game was something they showed from Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Had nothing to do with the game. But it was Caleb Williams having to do something that it's like every year on Hard Knocks they show. This is very normal around the league, but when rookies introduce themselves at training camp, they have to announce what their signing bonus is. And in the case of Caleb Williams, when he got up in front of his team, I think his signing bonus was roughly $17 bajillion, to which number 17 in the front row
had a seizure.
And it was very entertaining and funny. And I think your guy, Tyson Bagent, is going to end up being a very popular figure in Hard Knocks if they continue to feature him, because he's fun to watch in practice. He has swagger. And I think if they continue to hone in on that, Tyson Bagent's going to be just fine in the popularity contest that tends to be the Bears quarterback battles.
And make sure you're tuning in on Tuesday for our Hard Knocks After Dark post-game shows coming up.
Damn
Tuesday
straight.
night.
Damn straight. Hearing Troy Aikman talk about Tyson Bagent tonight was probably my highlight of the football game. The way he was just waxing poetic about 17 and what he was able to do last year and how he looks and what he's going to be able to do this year. That was super nice. But yeah, look, just a reminder too on Brett Rypien, who was phenomenal tonight. Brett Rypien's stats last year, you might recall, he played in 2 games. He played the Packers and he played Dallas. He was 18-38, and he did not throw a touchdown pass, and he threw an interception. In his career, he's thrown 4 picks, and 4 touchdowns and 9 picks, and he's played in the league a lot longer. So, let's just – and he's been around. He's 3 years with the Broncos, a year with the Rams last year. So he was great tonight, and he's a good leader in that room, but I don't think that the long-term future of the Bears' backup quarterback is going to be Brett Rypien. That's just me.
And I think you're spot on. However, I do have to say that what we saw tonight from Brett Rypien has been what I've seen in practice really since the pads went on, was that last Friday? I think it was the first padded practice. So he's been stacking. I'm just letting people know he has been stacking good days, and that matters. And Tyson's been a little choppy in practice. That's all. I'm not saying he's been bad or anything, and I'm not even trying to start a quarterback controversy here at all. I think
backup quarterback.
Yeah.
We have
come so far.
What I am trying to get at though is I think maybe for the first time in my life, the Bears have, what's that word that starts with D? Depth. Quarterback depth.
Let's go nuts. Let's go wild.
Steven's head went in a different area.
Exactly. You said that, and I was like, do not set Mark Carman up for a question like that. Are you crazy?
You said the right word. No, that was a good test.
It's like giving a child a gun. Don't give him that setup.
Or a 51-year-old man in the Olympics.
Yeah, or me. I'm sorry, or me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was projecting.
I was pretty confident where Hoge was going there, and I didn't even my mind didn't go to the gutter. I was being professional.
Steven's the only one that's immature here.
Let's Steven made a noise behind the scene that was immature. All right, let's knock out a couple supers here to get that going here as part of our post game show, and then I have something that happened right as we were coming on the air that I think we have to revisit. That does not have to do with this game, but Carm needs to hear. Bear Down Omaha, $2. It's not all on Mitch.
That used to be my old moniker.
Oh,
back in my Bears barroom days.
I love those days.
Yeah,
those were such good.
They were nice days because I didn't have to deal with you every day.
I loved listening to this town fight over whether Mitch Trubisky was good and having to beg people to realize that he sucked. Those were fun.
It's good times.
Remember when he threw 6 touchdown passes against Tampa Bay when they were, never mind. Go ahead. Thank you, Bear Down Omaha.
Javen Terry, $5. Rypien quarterback 2.
Okay, Terry.
Yeah.
I do like your avatar, buddy.
Reeling them in. Let's get Carm to have a meltdown tonight.
Meltdown.
And Zero Demon, $10 super chat. Put Bagent and Carm on the third string where they belong. Rypien QB.
Yes, keep them coming all night. As many Carm and Rypien super chats to drive this man crazy.
Craig Leach coming in with a big one, $20. We greatly appreciate it. Craig says, Poles is right so much. Rip was letting her rip. Caleb calling plays? Question mark. That Hard Knocks brought back Pettis, and he muffs a punt after catching a dime earlier in the game. I think the kickoff has potential. Bears win. Yeah, the Pettis drop. I mean, there is a definitely a punt return competition there, and that is not going to help his case.
He doesn't have a lot of excuses on it either. The ball was in front of him. He's coming out. I get that it was a little bit wet out there, but really there's nothing he can say other than I should have caught it.
Well, that's my whole thing, though, with that. I mean, obviously it's a big blunder or a bad blunder, but how big is it? Like, does he have this reputation of not holding on to punts to where he isn't afforded a little leeway if he makes one mistake? Now, if he does it again,
he just hasn't been on the field. And you've got DeAndre Carter, who's been having a great training camp. I think his window is very small to somehow find his way on the roster.
Carter did catch the punt, but didn't do the Hester thing where he shakes 6 defenders to the end zone, which I thought was disrespectful with Devin Hester.
I mean, they like Pettis. They've kept him around through a bunch of injuries. He could maybe practice squad candidate in theory.
Yeah. Tim D here with a $4.99 super chat. I think going back to the kickoff conversation we were having, variance or not, I don't see how the average position could be the 30. If 30-plus returns are common, teams will just boot into the end zone for a touchback. I understand where you're coming from, Tim, and this is part of why the rules are new and they're complicated. You do that, the ball comes out to the 30, not the 20 or 25 like it used to be. So that would still get the average field position right there at the 30. So that's the thing. We all want to see variance. We all want to see it entertaining. Like I was breaking down earlier, this is, an start,
right.
But none of us really knew how this was going to play out in the preseason, and that includes the special teams coordinators. And if tonight's any indication, I don't know that we're going to learn a ton.
I said I was going to hate the rule. Then you kind of teased on Twitter to me that I was going to end up loving it by the end of the game. And to Carm's point, I was indifferent by the game was over. It really didn't make such an effect that I had some kind of visceral reaction one way or the other about it.
We need to give it more time.
But
we'll see.
Just the reminder, if you catch it in the end zone and down it comes out to the 20. So they are going to keep – the whole point is to get people to get returners to take the ball out of the end zone, right?
No. If you catch it in the end zone and you down it, it comes out to the 30. That's what we saw tonight.
So what's the 21? Where does it come out?
The 20 is if you successfully, as the kickoff team, get it to bounce before the end zone and it rolls into the end zone.
I see.
Then the return team downs it. They only get it at the 20.
I see. Okay.
Because
I'm still learning.
No, I know. And this is one of the most complicated things and why the NFL struggled with this for years. There's incentives on both sides that sometimes counteract each other, and they both lead to less returns.
Okay, right.
So by making –
so they're trying to get it to land in the zone between the 20 and the 1 so it doesn't land in the end zone, so you have to take it out. I got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So it gets complicated.
If you had been in my spaces on Twitter the other day, you'd have learned that rule.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Why didn't you tell me about that one? That might have been the first one I actually would have come into.
Shout out my guy Hassan. He's always on top of it, really walked us through it, explained it to me like I was 5.
Yep.
Took an hour and a half for me to figure it out.
This fun fact from our fun fact expert, Kevin Fishbane, Bears head coach Matt Eberflus is now 3-0 in preseason openers.
That's big.
And he looked excellent walking in today.
Don Johnson Flus.
That's a great reference.
I mean, he just
went full Nash Bridges.
I mean, the light suit color, whatever that was. Was that a taupe? What was that?
I liked it.
A light gray?
I'm not knocking it. I like next gen Flus. I'm all about next gen Flus, and let's keep that coming. I want us focused on Flus's wardrobe every pregame show the rest of the year, and I hope he continues to mix it up. We'll get to more supers here towards the end of the show. There was a little bit of stadium news that happened tonight.
There was?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Well, it's because we started early tonight with the rain delay, and that was when Kevin Warren went on the broadcast. So crediting those who are watching the broadcast, and I'll go right back to Kevin Fishbane here.
Better be good.
Kevin Warren said the goal is still to have a shovel in the ground in 2025 and have a new stadium open by 2028.
On the museum campus in Chicago, did he put that part in there too or no?
Warren reiterated that the museum campus downtown is the focus. But here comes the but.
Let's hear the but.
That the Bears are the largest landowners in Arlington Heights too.
All right, let's continue to straddle. Listen, until they engage.
I find that interesting because the language is starting to change a little bit.
Slight language change.
Well, he was basically not even acknowledging that they did own land in Arlington Heights. I'm not going to take it that far. Focus is the museum. Focus is the museum. Now there's a but. But yeah, we are the largest landowners in Arlington Heights.
Well, look, I'm sure he's learned in the last couple of months that nobody is running to give the Bears money to fund.
Well, yeah, more realistically, the governor came out this week and was like, the earliest that this gets figured out is next year.
Right.
So, but I guess theoretically it's still possible to have a miraculous thing that hits the legislation in 2025 and shovels in the ground.
Listen, the guy, I am going to continue to give Kevin Ward my confidence. Out of nowhere, we've got lemonade for the media out at Hallis Hall during training camp. Guy got that done in like maybe 38 seconds. Future's bright, baby.
Oh, man. You're a sucker.
Yeah.
I'm a believer, man. I believe in Kevin. Kevin will do it.
I like Kevin too,
but
he's got his hands full in terms of trying to get this pushed across the finish line.
Kevin, engage Indiana. Listen to Carm. Engage Indiana.
Oh, yeah. Hey, now, if we want to start talking that and pushing that agenda on this broadcast, on this network, all day long, put them in the region. If the Bears ever go to the region, man, if you thought I was obnoxious before. I mean,
I really think they should.
It would get worse.
I think they should.
Change their name to the region?
I don't know, but all I know is I will be mayor of Bearstown, and you will never be allowed in my cul-de-sac. And parking will be at a premium, and you'll be begging me for parking in my cul-de-sac, and you will not be allowed there. Steven will be allowed there. You two won't be allowed there.
Why am I not allowed?
Because I invited you to a party once upon a time. You both made fun of me, so now you're never allowed at my party. You're never allowed in my cul-de-sac.
I promise you, no matter what happens in the future, I never want to come to your cul-de-sac. I 1,000% promise you.
Okay. I want to come there sometime.
No, I'm good. I'm so happy for you, and I'm good.
All right. All right, couple things in my notes we'll highlight here. One was I didn't love how the defense started. I realized it was all backups, but I mean, Davis Mills was basically just marching down the field.
It was annoying. I was instantly annoyed. Please, can it not look like it's always looked?
Yeah.
Let's get super excited for the new season. Okay, there they go, right down the field. If that happens on week 1 against the Titans, I will lose it.
And then Amen Agbangbamiga, who is the special teams ace that they signed in the offseason, he had a rough first series there on defense, but that's not really what he's here for. Technically, he might have to play sometime, though, if you had a couple of guys go down with the linebacker core.
It wasn't. It was an ugly slip.
That's not what he's here for. And then Daniel Hardy had an opportunity for a sack, missed it. Speaking of slips,
that was
he almost got hurt on that one.
Thought he nearly blew out his entire body.
Yeah. It was also an up and down day for Tommy Sweeney, the 5th-year tight end out of Boston College. He had a penalty. They incorrectly called the false start on the wrong player. It was on him. And then catch, fumble. Bears got really lucky. Hits principle, though. You were calling it out in the moment. Khalil Herbert, what I would call him a regular.
Yep.
Getting in there, making sure that ball popped out again, and Sweeney was able to get it back. And then Sweeney came back and caught a touchdown later. So he was a little bit up and down. And then I find the Collin Johnson thing really interesting because Collin Johnson, for those of you who haven't been out of practice, has been making plays somewhat regularly out there. Almost daily has been making some type of nice catch. Now tonight, I'm going to tell you, I don't want to rain on the parade at all. He had a nice night. 2 touchdowns, right? But he had a blatant drop. He had what looked like a nice catch called back because he wasn't able to pull it all the way in when he hit the ground. D'Amico Ryan successfully challenged that. And there was another one in between there where it wasn't a clean catch, and I was wondering if the Texans were going to try to challenge that one too. They ended up letting it go. But I'm telling you, when coaches and scouts are evaluating the tape, how you catch the ball matters. If you make a catch and it's still not a clean catch, that's still going to matter when they make these evaluations.
Yep.
So I find it interesting because I like Collin Johnson. He's big, 6'6". He's got a lot of size, and he's been making a lot of nice plays. But I'm not so sure that the highlights we saw tonight are really going to tell the full picture of how when they get in that room tonight and they evaluate the tape, I'm not saying the coaches are going to view this as an A+ game.
Well, what's tantalizing about him is the size, that he's 6'6" and that he can get up, and that he did at least at the start, did a nice job high pointing the football. And credit to Brett Rypien, putting it up there and giving him a chance to make a play. But to your point, Hoge, it could have been a lot cleaner as far as securing the football. But I do want to see more. He has been impressive in training camp. He did make a play on special teams. That room, Tyler Scott did not have a good night tonight. No. He gets an opportunity to return kicks, did not take advantage of that at all. And
in fairness, he didn't get a lot of blocking. He almost had his head taken off.
But that ultimately is the question for Collin Johnson, right? Because you bring up Tyler Scott. How many wide receivers do you think they keep on the roster? 6?
Let's just say
I don't view Tyler Scott as a serious kick return option. To me, he's too small. And if you're going to be that small, you better be damn shifty like Tariq Cohen was. And
he can shimmy away from cornerbacks, but it just didn't work there.
It's a different game. It's a different game there, and I much prefer would have Velus Jones with his bigger size and run through tackles.
I agree.
But I also think that's why he and Greg Stroman were out there tonight. Tyler Scott and Greg Stroman, because I don't think they're really the guys that are going to be back.
So that's my point is, you got the big 3 as your wide receivers. They're locked in. Tyler Scott, I would imagine is, but it's only his
He's
second.
having a nice camp.
Right, he's having a great camp. Nice camp. He's not dominating. I won't go there yet.
He's not dominating.
I won't go there yet. Slow down.
He's had a lot of drops.
All right, but Velus and DeAndre Carter, is that because you got to be able to, like I said earlier,
DeAndre Carter is 100% on the football team.
Right, so because you've got to be able to contribute on special teams to be those last couple spots in the receiver depth chart. So if he's going to take anybody's job, it would be Tyler Scott's. You've got to outplay him to have that role because Tyler's not going to have a huge impact on special teams, right?
Listen, guys that cannot have bad preseasons, and so far, by the way, I think Velus has had a good camp. I think he's looked a whole lot better catching the football. I've wrote about it in my 3 things, become a diehard, all that. However, if he goes out there and struggles and puts the ball on the ground and Collin ends up having a really good camp, that could get to be a really interesting discussion because you do have DeAndre Carter who can return punts, and you could put him back there, or they could get creative. You telling me that Khalil Herbert couldn't be an interesting candidate to be a kickoff returner? I wouldn't mind seeing what Khalil Herbert could do back there.
Well, he's already been a returner.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But I think your 2 returners are probably Herbert and Velus Jones.
Right. So
where this thing's
Herbert
probably
has the body for it.
But we can't forget the punt return side of it there, and that's where Tyler Scott actually, to me, would be a better option as a returner, as a punt returner. Now, DeAndre Carter, especially after tonight, would have the upper hand on Dante Pettis after Pettis dropped it tonight. None of us want to see Velus Jones as a punt returner. It's kind of proven he can't do it. So, where does Collin Johnson fit into this? That's why I brought it up early. The fact he made that tackle on kickoff, to me, matters. Because he's got to have more. Definitely. He's got to have some special teams value. You can't just be a 6'6", third-string wide receiver and only play offense.
You know who also loved that was our guy, H. Mac, Richard Hightower. He loved that moment, I bet. Your guy.
I'm sure he did. What'd you just call him?
H. Mac. That's what Foose calls him.
H. Mac?
H. Mac. Richard Hightower?
Why does he call him that?
I don't know why he calls him that. That's his nickname for him.
I didn't know that.
Oh, come on.
I hear him call him HT.
Uh-oh. Did you mess up?
I might have to double check my work, but I'm 98.
I'm just wondering where the Mac is.
Somebody back me up that it's H Mac.
Nobody's gonna back you up on this.
They'll back me up. You watch.
It's HT.
It's not HT. It's not Harry Tynowitz. It's H Mac. And no, I'm not sweating Philip Abril about Brett Rypien. You're sweating.
If I had to guess right now, Collin Johnson's on the practice squad.
Right. He definitely seems like a prime practice squad candidate that I typically, when we used to never have receivers like DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and Keenan Allen, I would obsess over a receiver like this and act like he's going to be the next coming, and then he wouldn't even make the roster. We all riot, and then he ends up not being signed by any other team, and then ultimately makes the practice squad. But this time, just like the backup to the backup quarterback, we are evolving as fans, and now we're not going to overreact about a Collin Johnson because we have so many great players on our team.
What probably will happen is I see that comment right there about DeAndre Hopkins being out for a while with a knee injury, and maybe he misses week 1. So the Bears cut Collin Johnson. The Titans pick him up, and then he catches a touchdown against the Bears in week 1.
For what it's worth, Collin Johnson, he broke into the league in 2020. He's only got 30 catches in his career.
Yeah.
Right. He's been around, and he's also had years where in that 2020 to now where he didn't play at all.
Jody McGee in the chat says, at work, overnights, good evening, gentlemen, and Braggs. Have a Bears beer for me. Why am I excluded from the gentleman thing? Like, why am I separate from that? Was that intentional, Jody? Like, what the heck? Did you not see? I was in a tux earlier drinking champagne. This is humble brags tonight. I am a gentleman.
Braverman getting a mention is fantastic.
See? Does that not look like a gentleman?
You look drunk and disgusting right there.
I disagree. I think he looks pretty
classy.
Yeah, no, those eyes are. He's right there.
What I will say is, whatever's in that glass, you would not drink it.
Right, it'd have to be whiskey with diet in it.
Right,
I knew you were gonna go there, so I just
Coke
went.
In it.
Yeah.
Before the show tonight, when we had pregame, Braggs ordered everybody a shot. It was adorable. We kicked off the year right. You led us, baby. Thank you so much for starting things off in the way that we needed them.
It's nice.
It was really lovely.
And Carm paid for it.
Yeah, Carm did pay.
It's a mirror, nice. No problem. Mirror,
I didn't realize when I was ordering those shots that you were buying them, but that was really nice of you.
No problem. $230 down the drain for your shots. No big deal.
See, not classy, saying how much it was.
It wasn't $230. Don't worry about it. I wanted to give a Jordan reference, a 2-3.
Okay.
Meal was cheap. You're listen. I'd spend $2,300 on you. You're such a great guy.
Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
We're off to a great start this season.
We are.
Shots?
No
Anybody?
way we don't try to kill each other at some point this year.
Not this year, buddy. I'm going to be so calm and so loving. It's going to be frightening. Can we get to some what else? Hoge?
Well, we're kind of waiting for Nicholas Moyano to join us from the press box, and hopefully he will join us here soon. I understand press conferences are over. We got super chats we can go to.
Let me just name a couple Carm questions.
Carm notes tonight?
Random.
I got a couple of notes.
I don't see a yellow pad.
I went computer tonight, which was enjoyable.
Destroys the whole segment.
It really does.
The best part is you trying to hit the camera and you're 0 for 700 throwing the paper.
Listen, Carm Notes will be back in full Carm Note fashion to a whole nother level that you can't even imagine.
Got to bring in the preseason or you might get cut.
That's fine. If you wanted preseason, Hoge, preseason game number 2, you'll get your Carm Notes, buddy. Let me just ask about Zach Pickens. Did anybody and I loved Zach Pickens talking to Nick, and I like Zach Pickens as a dude, and I think there's some talent in Zach Pickens. Did anybody notice Zach Pickens tonight? I didn't notice Zach Pickens tonight.
I think when the snap counts come out, he barely played. I think he was a little bit. He was in there early with the whatever you're calling the second string D line. I guess it would have been.
Yep.
And that's what his role on this team's going to be. No. Did I notice him in the handful of snaps he got tonight? No. Have I noticed him in practice? Yeah.
What about Dom Rob? Do we notice a Dom Rob? Anybody notice Dom Rob? I didn't notice Dom Rob.
I will watch the tape, but no, off the top of my head tonight, I didn't.
Is it though?
You know who I did notice? Shout out Elijah Hicks. He was all over the field.
Yeah, Elijah Hicks had that big open field tackle where the running back came up the middle and was about to bust it wide open for a touchdown. And Elijah Hicks had stopped it and was really, really just did a great job of getting them down. So, but let me ask you this in terms of Dominique Robinson or Zach Pickens. Yes, they played, and yes, it was probably a low snap count total. But is there any concern for either of them that they're playing in a game like this? Because, like, to me, it felt like all essential personnel did not play in this game. So if you're playing in this game, it's almost a message from the coaching staff that you need to up your game. Is that the right read on that, or is it just simply a depth chart thing and the guys got to play?
I think there's a little bit of both for me. Like they have to play
somebody.
So, but when it comes, like, there's certain guys out there that they're looking at. To me, that's what sort of how we started the show. Like, I thought the Roschon Khalil thing, that thing going back and forth, and the way they alternate it shows that they are trying to figure out which way they're going to go there. And who's ever going to be hot is going to get those carries.
They're letting them know tonight. This is a competition.
I think they know.
Yeah.
Do you think it means anything that Roschon got the first touches in the backfield? Or is it meaningless?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Do you think it means anything that Roschon got the first touches?
Yes, I do. I think he's ahead.
Hoge?
I think they
I found that interesting. I think Herbert was better though, and I've been pretty vocal, and I think Herbert's the better backup.
Herbert was better. I mean, Roschon. I mean, if this is a competition and you're literally going to grade this off of each play, fair or not, Roschon on 3rd and 1 on that first drive where they ended up getting the false start on 4th and 1. On 3rd and 1, they handed off to Roschon Johnson and he gets stonewalled against a second string. Texans team, like, hey, you got to run that dude over and get the first down.
I would have pushed back on a little bit because he actually broke the initial tackle, which was a big hit, and got back to the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
Like, I'm not putting that on him.
No, but I think you wanted to see on a short yardage there. You didn't want to see him sort of stutter step and make a cut in the hole versus just take the ball and ram his way through and pick up the 1 yard.
But that's my whole issue in general of Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson playing as long as they did, and even at all. These are two essential players. Tyler Scott, too. These guys are key contributors to the season. And to play them, all the different excuses I heard of why the first team isn't going to play, some of them I was poking holes in, and then some of them ended up being valid, like the field conditions. But there was other reasons, like, you're not going to put Caleb behind, a second string O-line and things of that nature. But then why does that apply? Why is that okay for Roschon and Khalil Herbert when you are going to need those guys in the season? So as it started to get deeper in the game, I don't love that they're out there. It seems
when Ryan Poles goes to bed at night, Matt Eberflus too, worrying about the health of Khalil Herbert is he's not ever waking up at 3 a.m. thinking about that.
Of course he is.
Well, they also, and this is something maybe they should have signed 2 running backs, but they're already got some attrition there in that running back room right now too. And as I was saying on the pregame show, somebody has to take the carries. Now they took that to a higher level than I thought tonight. As it turned out, Demetric Felton barely played. But yeah, I think they wanted to see what they have there between those 2 guys right now.
And look, I don't know how bad the field was. We weren't there. They were sliding around out there, but nobody did actually get hurt. I wanted to see Caleb play tonight. I wanted 3 handoffs and get out of there just to work on the operation. I would have played Bajan longer than they played him. So I'm not in love with how they started the preseason. You are a 3-14 and 7-10 football team. You are with and if I'm Matt Eberflus, just that part of it. Look, you got a little bit of pressure on you to win this year, to have it look good. You need the reps. Your quarterback basically begged for him without begging because he didn't want to overstep his rookiness. So I hope they play a bunch in the next 3 games, or at least, and then everyone's like, well, they're probably going to play 2 and not play less. Okay, well then I hope he plays a bunch in the next 2. They can use it. You're a psycho, Flores. Let's go.
I hope somebody's just listening to the podcast and has no idea why or
Hoge is amazing. For those who don't watch the live show, all of you in the audio space, he's always thinking about you. Alex Flores just said in the chat, "You're a psycho, Carm." I responded back
because somebody listening to the podcast, they just heard Flores, "You're a psycho."
I think they liked it.
You didn't even put a comma. You were in the mid-sentence about the Bears,
Right.
and then ended it with Flores, you're a psycho.
Right, like if you're
I've
new,
been doing
if
this thing called podcasting for a while. So, yes, I am always thinking about the
You're-
podcast.
like,
I am here for you.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're right. I think I can be better. But I also tell you that my guy, the Vucci, who listens only on the podcast, absolutely loved when I called Flores a psycho there without any context. I guarantee you the Vucci was like, damn right, Flores, you are a psycho. I love you, Vucci. And you, Hoge. And you, Greg. And you, Flores.
Unbelievable. All right. We do have, I believe I have some post-game.
Need another minute on that.
Okay. Why don't we
a couple
just
super chats?
Super chats then.
If you're new to the program and don't know what a super chat is, you can dial us up, bring in a super chat, contribute to the program, and you get your comment read on the screen.
Bear Down Omaha, $2 says, Braggs is right. Belichick made a career of cheats.
Of course. This is gamesmanship. Coaches are always trying to find an angle. And it may be one time out of a million times that the 12th man, the holder of the kick, pulls some shit. But it's going to happen at some point. I'm telling you. And it'll probably happen somewhere pivotal that's going to make everyone freak out.
I highly doubt it.
It's the.
Oh, I can't. You know what?
It's
That's like a futures bet that never ends. So
Exactly.
I like that you said I highly doubt it, because then when it does happen, like 10 years from now, I'll clip it and I'll talk about it on Twitter for 2 straight days.
I don't want to be
That's what you get.
hyperbolic here or overly harsh.
Don't ever question my genius.
But I do think this is the dumbest thing you've ever said. I'm pretty certain this is it.
I don't know.
I'm willing to hear others.
Hoge's about to ask the ref the question. So, Hoge, you're the decider. Is it dumb?
I'm going to ask the ref.
that question.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Can you cheat?
No. I want to know what the penalty is. That's all I care about. What happens if the holder does not run off?
It's snowing.
And gets in the way.
And he slips and breaks his leg. And the play is still going. You know what? It's going to happen. All right?
He'll be lying on the ground and the returner will
And then the
run
returner, and then he goes like this.
Okay.
H. Tarosky, $4.99. Is it possible for Cairo to kick off with Taylor holding and then Cairo runs off the field? No.
Great idea, though.
For the person. Now, if Torrey Taylor kicked the ball and Cairo was holding, then yes, Cairo could run off the field. But yeah, no, that's not how that works. And then Michael, $1.99, says Sand God, Bay God, John God.
Not bad. Not bad, Renouf.
For Collin Johnson. The John God.
It's a lot of gods.
And then let's get to Mark Gauthier, because I don't know if he's up early or has to go to bed or whatever. I believe it's 4:42 in the morning where he is. $20 super chat. Good morning again, boys. Nice to see the offense with more than screens and curls. Bajent is QB2. Carm, don't.
I'm not sweating it, Goat. I'm yelling at everybody.
Don't take it, Carm. See you in London. And bear down. Okay. Should we go to Nick? I believe
Let's go to Nick.
Nick is standing by.
We got a 3% chance this internet's going to work with the Storms, but let's.
On a bus? Is he still in the stadium?
He looks good. Nick, what do you got from post game in your first career shortened NFL football game?
Yeah, that was interesting, you guys. It's still storming over here. I don't know how I'm going to get back, but that's okay. But I was in the locker room. I didn't get a chance to hear from the coaches or even Collin Johnson at the podium. But I wanted to talk to just some of the players about the new kickoff rule. And Stephen Carlson was one of the guys on the kick return unit, and just kind of talking to him, just what it was like being in the actual game environment. And he was basically saying that everything's happening so much quicker. And they anticipated this, like even during the game, they were making adjustments to try to accommodate for the speed of the players being only 5 yards away. So he said there's going to be a lot of tape being watched over this game, and obviously he anticipates everybody in the rest of the league to watch this game to see how teams are going to adjust to it. But he was a little bit surprised on just the speed of which like these players can just get around guys, and you can't guess and like try to block someone thinking they're going to go one way because these guys are really athletic. They can quickly move. So just kind of wanted to hear the perspective from the blocking. But then we also got to hear from Tyler Scott and John Jackson in the locker room, both obviously returned for the Bears. And what Tyler was saying, very similar to what Steven Carlson was saying, like these guys are getting there so quickly. And the one kickoff return where he kind of got lit up that second time, he said if that was a regular game scenario, he would have just taken a knee, but he wanted to give some of the guys that are probably fighting to make a roster spot an opportunity to make blocks so that they can show the coaches, some good tape from like how to set up the return. So he knows going forward, he's going to make that one cut go inside and not get lit up on a kickoff like he did that second time. But it was interesting hearing the guys kind of talk about it, but they expect big returns, explosive plays to happen from these types of plays. We didn't really see it too much. John Jackson had the 31-yard return, which was the leading return in the game, but they do anticipate this to be an explosive play, and I think they just need to get more reps to kind of get acclimated to the speed of which everything kind of happening.
That's really cool by Tyler, if willing to basically put himself in harm's way to get guys a rep. That's a phenomenal teammate right there. Okay, I mean, I guess
keep the ball in play so we can see what this all looks like.
All right, okay. You want to take that away from Tyler and say that he was directed to do it. That's fine. It's probably true too, but I'm here to salute 10 for willingly getting himself cracked. That did not look like fun. Take us elsewhere in the locker room, Nick. Was anybody singing the praises of Brett Rypien anywhere? Did anybody anything like that?
No, I wouldn't go that far there, Carm. I know that he was pretty fiery in his press conference. I heard from the people that were in there, but we also got a chance to talk to Khalil Herbert, and when you were watching the game, it was Khalil Herbert for a drive, Roschon for a drive, Khalil for a drive, and I asked him just what does each guy kind of bring to the running back room, and he's like, you saw it on the field. Like, we can both do different things. We saw the 21-yard burst from Khalil Herbert. Like, he is fully healthy. He was working in the offseason on just kind of track workouts to kind of get that long speed, something that maybe he was knocked for not having in the NFL. But he definitely does have that, and you saw it in today's game. But he still views it as a competition, and obviously he's going to root for his guy to in Roschon to do good stuff when he's on the football field. But it does seem like the Bears are trying to figure out like which back is going to be the second man up after DeAndre Swift. So it was interesting just hearing his perspective, and like even if he wanted to play in the game, he was asked that, he's like, hey, whatever, if my number's called, I'm going to do whatever is asked. So that's Khalil Herbert's a team guy, so it was good hearing from him tonight after he got some drives in this game.
Steven was wondering this, so I'll ask you this, Nick. Like, is it significant that Roschon got the first reps and then it was Khalil, or do you think that then next week it'll be reversed and they'll let these guys go back and forth for a few weeks?
I mean, obviously he did get it, and then he also got it at the end of the half, Roschon, too. I think just because he's a guy that can also is viewed as a better blocker. But I don't know. I mean, it's a good question because, like, I think that they are pretty close in this battle as they're both obviously playing in this game. But I think it's all going to come down to, again, like, who is less of a liability when it comes to pass protection. Like, if Roschon can prove that he could be a third down back over Khalil Herbert because his ability to block and as a pass catcher, like that could just earn him the respect from his coaches and ultimately why he should be running back too. But I think it's a good problem to have, though. You obviously have DeAndre Swift as your lead guy, and then you have these two running backs that bring a little bit of different things to the table. So we'll have to see, and hopefully in that second game against Buffalo, we'll see obviously some of the starters playing hopefully in that one.
Hey, Nick, I am interested in what we hear from Flus eventually on, playing time and why they made some certain decisions here. Just being there, how much of the issue did the field seem to be? I mean, just in terms of guys watching on TV, it seemed like it was a problem. I don't know if guys were talking about it or not, but I almost wonder, because I know they had issues there in Canton a few years ago with the field too, and I just wonder if this has become a thing where like it's added to the hesitancy of coaches playing guys in this game.
Well, I don't know whose tweet I saw, but maybe it was one of you guys. But you get someone commented on the field conditions, and then I was kind of just paying attention a little bit more to that. But on pass rushes, like Austin Booker won his first pass rush rep, but the tackle just lost his footing completely. Like it did seem like even before the rain started coming down, for whatever reason, like that the footing just doesn't seem like it's good for the players. And I don't know what grass expert Adam Hoge, I don't know what kind of grass is over here in Canton, but I think they need to ask Flus and get some advice on what grass should be there, because it
More
did
grass
seem like even
talk.
before rain even hit the ground, it needs to be evaluated.
Yeah, I asked Hoge on Twitter because even though he's sitting right next to me, I wanted to bring it public because you're the grass guy, dude.
Yeah, I'm the grass guy.
Yeah.
Well, you're the only one in Chicago that asked about the grass being different at practice, and now we want you to fix.
Am I the only one with eyes? It's artificial turf.
It's bad artificial turf.
It was bad turf.
Oh,
Well, I'm agreeing
bad
it's bad turf. Just like MetLife Stadium has bad turf and guys get hurt. But it's not grass.
I couldn't tell.
Don't yell at him.
Yeah.
I want to. I've been irritated with him for like 3 days now.
Yeah, there it is.
3 days.
Oh, 3
3 days.
Look at it. Look at it back there. You can't see that
Bad turf.
with your eyes?
I don't even know if it's bad turf. It just seems slippery. Why is it so slippery?
Great question.
Did the players
no
Go
talk?
down there on the field and do your burpee, broad jump, crazy thing, and see if you fall down at all.
Did the players say anything about the field specifically?
I am the sod father.
I didn't ask anybody about it, and I didn't hear anybody commenting on it. So maybe something for obviously later in the week when we get a chance to talk to players. But yeah, I couldn't tell you that, Carm. And I'm really considering going out there. If I didn't have the shoes that I have on, and even what I'm wearing, like
I knew it.
I'd be out in the rain.
You're stressing about the walk to however you're going to get back to the airport, and you're going to mess up your shoes. You probably wore nice shoes.
Okay.
Hall
So
of
we
Fame
had to
style
park.
Jordans.
Yes, and yes. So we have to take a shuttle, which is around the corner from the stadium, to then go to this field that's about, I don't know, 5 minutes away. And in that field is just all this dirt and slush. And Herb Howard said he's going to walk barefoot. He's considering walking barefoot to his car because it is going to be a nasty little road that we have to walk. So yeah, I'm concerned, Greg.
You'll be fine. We're rooting for you.
Do what Herb does. Herb's always on it.
Yeah.
Herb,
At least
make
I have my
Herb-
Uncrustable.
Herb will carry you.
Yeah, piggyback ride.
Have Herb carry you.
He left.
He could, and B, he needs
left.
the exercise.
He left.
Well,
I'm the only one
Nick's
here.
not leaving. Nick is staying for the weekend festivities with the Hall of Fame, unless something's changed, but I believe that's true. Nick, what are you most looking forward to seeing here in Canton?
Well, I have on my credential a fashion show. I don't know what that's actually all about, but I guess
But
I'm
you're in the
it.
fashion show.
I'm in the fashion show, and then there's gold jacket, so I'm getting a gold. No, I don't know. There's a bunch of cool things on here. I really need to, after everything gets wrapped up here, dive into what exactly is going on in Canton, because there's a bunch of festivities on here or that's happening this week, and I want to go to the Hall of Fame at some point. So, plenty of great coverage to come on the CHGO Sports Instagram, Bears Twitter. So tune in, and you'll just have to find out what I'm doing next.
Nick, as we say goodbye, I just want to let you know I got a haircut today, and I asked about getting a fade and looking like you, and they're like, you couldn't pull it off. You're not as young as that guy, so I didn't.
Yeah, it's probably a good choice there, Carm. But at least you asked and tried to change up the look a little.
Carm said, "Give me the Turkish gunman look."
That was so funny. That was hilarious. It was so it looked like you. Like
Sorry, God. All right. I'm ready to go home. Is this show over? Nick, thanks so much. We love you.
Nick, have fun time.
Bye, you guys.
Following him on Twitter at Nicholas Moriano and all of our social accounts, Instagram, everything here at CHGO, because Nick's going to have the Hall of Fame covered for you. Enjoy the fashion show, buddy.
See you guys.
A couple things to clear up. One, no, Carm is not vaping. That's been going on in the chat. He has this weird habit where he smokes on his glasses. So that's what he's doing. They are glasses. Second, Carm just said he's ready to go home. He's been ready to go home since about 4:30 this afternoon.
As says everybody else on this show, with the exception of Greg Braggs.
When he took a shot and then wiped ribs all over his face and shirt.
I can still see the barbecue stain.
Little slight remnants there. It was just too much sauce on the rib. Is
there still some on there?
Yeah, Christian G actually sent us a $5 super chat asking that. Can we see Carm's stain?
Can you get a close up on the camera? Can you get a close up on his nipple?
It's
here. Let's see it. We should have made him keep.
It's right over.
I see it. It's right by the hand.
If you could imagine an actual football there, it's like where that running back would be holding the ball.
Zoom in here,
there's no zooming in. There's nothing there.
That's it.
That's the zoom.
Why don't you zoom in on the thing that's underneath the 23? That's that. There, we could do that. All right.
Also, I'm pretty sure we've gotten 8 inches of rain in the last
belly.
3 minutes.
You son of a! You got me. He said, "Why don't I zoom in on the thing under the 23?" And I looked, and realized it was my fat belly.
It's not fat.
I know. Oh, I'm working on it.
No, you look great. You've done a great job. I'm very proud of you.
All right. Do we have more supers?
We got some supers.
We got 6 more.
All right. Let's fly through these and we'll say goodnight. Mark, again, $4.99. Bringing it from across the pond. iPhone making lots of typos this time of morning. Bear down. My favorite guy in the chat, Pizzatola, $2. Best of the day was the Bears football. The worst of the day was Carr.
You know what, Philip? You are going to one day, Pizzatola, you'll realize that I make your life so much better, and you will apologize for all your slander.
He did ask to come park in my cul-de-sac, and Pizzatola, you are welcome in my cul-de-sac. Carm is not.
Zero Demon $4.99. Did Booker play tonight? He did.
He had a sack in the third quarter. Had a bull rush in the first quarter.
CHG. Okay. $4.99. How do the boys? This Hester would do in today's kickoff.
How do the boys think?
Oh,
this Hester.
He would never not score a touchdown.
I say he would have 8+.
He would have a lot of touchdowns. All you need to know, if you're asking that question, go back and look at the Rams kickoff when he had 2, because they were lined up on the second one for a squib kick, and then the Rams decided to kick it deep. So if there was anything that was like close to the simulation of what this kickoff is, it was in that moment, because the lanes were totally, as Mike Tirico said, lanes blown down because of the onside kick. And Hester took it the other way.
I mean, it's insane they ever kicked to him. And honestly, even with this new rule, they would probably just give the Bears the ball at the 30 every time because they'd be scared of him.
Well, now, if you kick it out of bounds, is it still you get the ball at the 40?
Yes.
Okay.
But you can still kick it out of the back of the end zone, but you're conceding the 30. But it's better than Hester taking it back. So that's, I mean, if you have a returner that dynamic, even with this new rule, they're going to do that. And that's actually one of my predictions is I think we're going to see more touchbacks than they think. But we'll see how that all plays out. Gritty, $5. What has Roschon done to earn the RB2 lead over Herbert, who is proven? Is it just unknown potential? Is it camp production? I'm with you, man. I think Herbert's the better pure running back. But I think it's probably a combination of Roschon Johnson being a better pass protector and
ding.
A lot. Yeah, but also, and this is a real thing, Roschon Johnson was drafted by Ryan Poles. Khalil Herbert was not. Roschon Johnson has 2 more years, or 3 more years, including this year, on his contract. Khalil Herbert does not.
I agree with all that. Those are 2 huge components.
Roschon Johnson also third on the team in receptions last year. I know that's something that DeAndre Swift is really good at, but if you're going to bring a guy in for third down, he's probably the better receiving back.
Bigger body, bigger target, but
wait, Roschon Johnson was third on the entire
Isn't that crazy?
team?
Isn't that nuts?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
he had
when
like
DJ
what,
Moore, Cole
25
Kmet,
catches?
It was a little more than that. I think it was in the 30s.
Okay.
DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Roschon Johnson.
Correct.
That is an indictment on the offense.
Also correct.
Robert Anderson, $4.99. I lean towards purchasing
Very
Esoteric random Chicago jerseys. Bickle, Carlos Quinton, Gordon Beckham, Andres Nocioni. Who is the jersey buy on this team? Torrey Taylor, Roma Dunze. Give me an esoteric off the
I
board.
was not expecting a Carlos Quinton reference in this Bears postgame show,
You should be impressed that I pulled that out.
but I am.
I think your play
Torrey Taylor's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's going to be
Dunze.
popular.
We're seeing, besides Caleb jersey, Roma Dunze is easily the second most jerseys we're seeing at training camp right now.
I would almost throw a Tevin Jenkins your way there, Robert.
Kari Blasingame.
Not completely terrible. That's been around, but that rope might be getting a little bit shorter, and then Tevin could be out of here too.
Yeah.
Tyreek Stevens is not terrible. Book of Ezra, but maybe a little too
You
prominent.
just have too many stars on this team. That's the
Sanborn.
problem.
I got it.
San-
Trevon Dexter.
Bill Murray.
Because all those players he mentioned were actually pretty decent players that were all appreciated by fans. They just weren't here forever.
Patrick Scales.
Who's
Kyler
been
Gordon.
here forever.
Okay.
That was not the right.
Me
All
and me and Goodwin right on time. You got options there, sir. Do you want to hear from Khalil before we get out of here? By the
No,
way?
we don't.
We
Stephen
don't?
Haynes, 5 pounds sterling.
You just said you wanted the show to end.
He said that earlier that he wanted to hear it. I thought he forgot.
No. Thank
fine.
you for bringing it up. I changed my mind. Football is back. Bear, bear, bear. Was that the last one?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Fun show tonight. Thank you to the NFL for calling the game early, because we would have had a whole quarter of football before we even started this show. We would have been around for a while.
We'd have been here.
So
As I said, we missed 18 minutes of football, which was
I
like
know.
30%.
And I know some people were asking about, like, we only talked really about Hester in terms of the Hall of Fame. And yes, Mongo got in, Julius Peppers got in. Saturday is the induction. There will be the ceremonies. We will have a post-practice show that day. So maybe we can give a little more reaction to some of the induction ceremony. Maybe I'll pop in there at the back end of that show and tell you what I saw from the inductions. I'll just say this much in terms of Mongo.
we're also going to have a special podcast that comes out tomorrow with if you missed the Matt Forte interview that we had on the pregame show, because that doesn't get podcasted, we're going to throw that in a podcast. And we also have an interview with Mike Singletary that we've had in the bag for a couple of weeks. So we're going to put those together for a special hall. Most of the conversation about the Hall of Famers. So that'll all be in a podcast episode that comes out tomorrow. And you'll be able to find those interviews individually as well on our YouTube channel. So those will be out. Plenty of Hall of Fame coverage. Tonight, yes, was more about this preseason game.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And so my only other final thought would be, and I was going to say this on Saturday as well, but I'll just say it now because I see people asking, oh, they didn't bring up Mongo. I will say this. I watched Julius Peppers and Devin Hester play, and it was a lot of fun to watch those guys at training camp and at Soldier Field. But in terms of Mongo getting into the Hall of Fame while he's still alive, like that was a hell of an achievement, not just his career, And so I'm happy for him to be able to get his flowers while he's still here. Good for him. He deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, and we've seen in this city at times, Ron Santo got in after he had passed away. And that wouldn't have been right. So to me, it's a hell of an achievement. I know it seems like Steve Mongo is like on his last legs, but at the same time, he is very coherent. They have a system of how they communicate with him, so he does understand what's going on and does communicate with his loved ones. So I think his achievement on the field is an amazing thing, but the way he's battled through what he's had to go through here in the last 5-10 years to get to this point and make it to this moment where he got to get inducted and still be here is probably his greatest achievement.
Well said. And we are going to have more Hall of Fame discussion throughout the weekend. Again, tomorrow is a Bears off day. We will have that special podcast come your way, and those interviews will be available on our YouTube channel. Saturday and Sunday, the Bears practice, and we're going to be back out there with shows on Saturday and Sunday. Practice recap shows, but yes, also with the induction ceremonies. Braggs will be kind of keeping his eye on that.
I will be crying like a baby.
And Nick will be there. So we're going to have that stuff covered on Saturday, and I think that's going to be a shorter practice anyway. So we'll have both covered for you Saturday, and then Sunday, the practice is back open to the fans. So it's going to be a busy weekend.
And we're counting it down until August 10th, baby. Back on the field on the road to Buffalo. Let's go.
And Caleb Williams out there getting reps.
What are you laughing at?
I didn't know he had a countdown.
We're counting it down, damn it.
I wasn't counting down to Buffalo.
We're counting down to Buffalo. New kickoff on the 10th, baby.
Okay.
Caleb. Imagine what Flus is going to wear when he walks into the Buffalo Stadium. We got you, Flus.
That I actually am looking forward to. I can't wait to see what the fit is like. All right. We're out of here. Come to CHGO Die Hard too. A lot of bonus content there for you as well. allchgo.com/diehard. We look out for that podcast tomorrow, that special one, and we will talk to you live on Saturday.
Bears win.
We all silly like the mayor.